Welcome back, everybody, to FVGP Season 7, the final round at Spa-Francorchamps. A very storied track, both in real life and in the Formula Velocity leagues. There could not be a better location to play host to the final race. 15 seconds on the game timer before we get underway for a one-shot qualifying. Same procedure as always. I'll try and keep up the best as I can with whatever car we get on board with. And it's going to be Rosenquist will head on board for the start. Longest track on the calendar, I believe just around 7 kilometers in length. Slightly off the apex of turn 1. Running into the gravel isn't going to be the best exit out of turn 1 for Rosenquist. They're going to be hoping to be able to make up the rest of this lap just a little bit better. Up towards Euros and Radion, a little bit of lift up through the corner. Probably not what the best you want to be able to do. And DRS wide open for the first of 2 zones you'll get over this track. The long Kemmel straight speeds are going to be getting very high up to the end of this. Very little engine noise until the car gets into the braking zone. You can just tell how fast they are moving. I have made a couple of audio adjustments between last stream and this time out. So if any of the audio is a bit off or still needs adjustments, please do let me know. Heading towards Pool on turns 10 and 11. 19 corners on this track for all the drivers to navigate. Moving up from the bottom position up to 7th. Currently provisionally, however, there is still another half of a lap to go. Near 90-degree right, left, into the gravel just a little bit again for Rosenquist. That's not going to play any favours for their time at all. Into the final sector, the highest speed on the track. You are flat out from here all the way into the final chicane. This section of the track is very much going to be dictated by how much downforce you're running. Of course, I can expect some very, very ambitious dives into the chicane that we are coming up to now. We'll jump on board for the final 3 corners. Hard braking just beyond the final marker. A little bit of a lock with the rear and spinning round. That's going to do them no favours. Down into 9th place for Rosenquist. A 56.6 goes to Broughton. The way for qualifying Fishy, a 56.7. So the championship stays alive after qualifying. 2 points for pole position going the way of Broughton. Championship leader Fishy just a 10.5 off the pace of Quali in 2nd place. Apex on their 2nd round, I believe, in the championship will line up 3rd place, and Alfie for MP Motorsport in 4th. High Tech on for a good showing in 5th and 6th. Skoda and Snowball will be lining up on the 3rd row of the grid, with FV Pixels just behind in 7th place. EGW will take 8th, 9th going the way of VNT Rosenquist, and 10th for Jack East will round out the grid. A 10-car event for us tonight. And it's going to be a wet sprint race to start us off. A wet race I was kind of hoping we wouldn't get, as there is a number of issues I can imagine with the stream encoder having to keep up, and this camera angle we get at the start is not a very pleasant one. Reverse grid from the results in qualifying for the race, so it means Jack East and VNT Rosenquist will line up 1st and 2nd grid. They're nearly going to each other. There's a Prema off into the gravel in the background. Might even be getting beached on that curb if they're not careful. That's just how little grip there is in these wet conditions. It is pouring down. Moving on further through the grid, EGW will start in 3rd place. You can see them sliding over the top of Euros and Radion. I think FE Pixels and the Prema was way off the track there, coming over the top of the hill. High-Techs will not be moving. They're going to stay on the 3rd row as they are in the dead middle, but it'll be Snowball over Skoda for the starting order. Alfie will be down in 7th place, Apex Meta in 8th, and the two rivals down 9th and 10th. While we wait for the drivers to complete this very, very long formation lap, longest track on the calendar, is not going to be helped by any of the rain conditions. We'll take a look at the previous pole positions at this track. If I can remember which keybind it goes on, it is that one. All the way back in Season 1 went to the way of D765, and Season 2 went to Thunderbird. During the Pixel Wars, Pixel missed out on pole position, and it went the way of Katie instead, so it means that this time it is a completely new pole sitter on the way of Broughton. We'll also take a look at the previous sprints. The only time for the sprint race here was during the Pixel Wars again, where FV Pixels won it over Katie during that event. So whoever wins it today will be the first winner in the league era for FVGP. There's only one person here who could keep defense, obviously, and they're starting in 4th place. Will Pixels do it? We'll only have to wait and see over the coming sprint race. Drivers making their way into the final chicane. Got to be really careful to not hit into each other here. It will get you disqualification. It couldn't be that bad considering you're pretty much at the line, but either way, every little advantage does help. Couple of spins in the background. Half spin, one for the Prema, another one for, I believe that is the MP Motorsport of Alfie, trying to locate the correct grid spot. We'll ride on board with our previous sprint winner, FV Pixels. 3, 4, 5 red lights are on. And for the final time, it is lights out and away we go for the sprint race in Season 7. Very, very good start there for the pole sitter. Or not, so the second place of Rosenquist. Pixels getting a great start as well. Already a bit of a broken wing heading into turn 1. Someone's got a bit of damage. Snowballs up into second, and it's a 1.5 second gap up the lead. Pixels a poor start from 4th down to 6th place. Not very good for the other Prema of Apex either. They're down to 9th already. Couple of cars jogging around. That was a spin over the top of the hill. One of the Premas is around. That's going to be Apex, and a retire from the session already. Pixels, the other car possibly involved there, down to 9th. It's a terrible start for Prema. Single file coming off of the hill straight into the chicanes at the end. Moving into the second sector, it is still going to be Rosenquist up in the lead, but only by half a second now. Snowball's pulled out 2 seconds to Jack East according to the interval, but I don't have the most belief in, and I do have the most belief in that, is a brawl. They're going 3 wide round the hairpin for 3rd place. Fishy moving up all the way around the outside, it moves into 3rd. EGW gets ahead of Jack East as well. They're still going to be 3 wide at the back. Another car bouncing around, still broken wings flying everywhere. A lot of cars as Apex into the chat after his starting elimination from the sprint race. Feel free to join me in the commentary booth for the rest of the sprint if you are available. Off into the gravel goes EGW, broken front wing for the Dams. Going to be very difficult to find any grip for him. We'll move up to the front and watch along though. 0.3 of a second between Snowball and Rosenquist as OBS is close itself on my other screen. Move on board with the high-tech, starting in the middle of the field. The other high-tech's down in 9th place. Pixels moving up to 7th.
Evening.
Welcome into the commentary booth, Apex. Not the ideal way for you to go, but having a move for the lead. Snowball's going to go up ahead of Rosenquist. Change into the bus stop, having a look down the inside. That's going to be a very ambitious dive. They got it stuck for the first bit, moving into the outside, not going to be able to make a stick. Snowball sliding out. Which one of them's going to get better acceleration? I think it's Rosenquist out of the corner initially, but the mid-drive going the way of Snowball.
Yeah, there is absolutely no traction out there. It is like you're dancing on ice. The rear just wants to pendulum around every single corner. It's taking some talent, let's put it that way.
Well, how do you think then the rest of this sprint's going to go? We're already onto the 2nd lap. Looking to be quite a good number of battles. It's very wide there over the top of Raddy and goes Snowball.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a case of keep it clean, keep it consistent, keep it on the track, and just see it home, because it is really just treacherous out there. Obviously, I've got this slight feeling that Fishy's going to win the championship.
Currently, as things stand, at the end of this sprint, they will be winning it. So,
but then again, I also thought I was going to be finishing the sprint, so clearly anything can happen.
Anything indeed can happen, and of course they are going to be in a three-way fight for the lead here, of which some quite fast and talented drivers up near the front of this grid, and they've got to be careful because Broughton is coming at the back there. Speaking of, actually having a look to the inside of Rosenquist through Pujon, gets it done for the first bit. Off the track goes the Van Amersfoort car. Keeping it there, is going to fall behind just after the corner is done, and that is Fishy up to second place. A position in hand to Broughton now as well.
Yeah, Rosenquist wasn't going to fight that. It's not their race. They know that Fishy's basically won the title. They know the pace just isn't there in that Van Amersfoort, so just let them through. See if you can salvage a podium, keep it ahead of Broughton. It's about a second ahead of them now, so hopefully plenty of space to let them catch and just defend that third place.
Just have to wait and see what happens while things calm down momentarily, as I see that gap is actually coming down. How are you feeling heading into the feature race after this is all over?
Not great. This was supposed to be my practice, and I mean, it lasted 2 corners. I don't really know what happened. It just seemed Skoda just stopped at the top of Radion, and the slight contact threw me into the wall, and I wasn't stopping it. So yeah, I mean, if it's dry, I think I'll be alright. I mean, I qualified 3rd, so just see if I can keep it behind Fishy and Broughton. But well, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see.
We're at the top of Radion for both Snowball and Fishy. High-Tech kept it together just a little bit better, and they could be pulling out the gap all the way down the Camel Straight over half a second roughly.
Broughton's through on Rosenquist down the inside. Lovely move for Broughton there. Rosenquist sending it back.
The outside will be on the inside. There's still going to be 2 wide coming into the next corner. Rosenquist backing out again. Just not going to be a race from the looks of it.
A good attempt to salvage it.
They're going to be 2 wide to the hairpin.
Rosenquist sends it again.
Wheel buying between the both of them. Snowball stays ahead for now. Fish is going to be on the inside for the next corner. They're still too wide for the lead. They're still too wide for the next row as well.
Broughton is absolutely fighting this. If there's any chance of Broughton even having any chance at this title, one, he needs Fishy to at least crash out or have a rather large accident, and he wants to have as much of a chance near the front of the field. Rosenquist sending it right up the inside, making contact, but just not shaking Broughton. And Broughton's right up to the back of Fishy now, right up to the 2 championship rivals.
It's not impossible that Fishy makes a mistake. They've looked quite wobbly, quite unsteady so far through this race, and we're only coming to the end of the halfway point now as well this lap. They're going to be having a look at going too wide again against the high-tech in front. Not going to be able to make it work. Might be going for a very ambitious dive into the chicane. Then we'll see which way. Snowball defends the inside. Fishy has a look to the outside, gets alongside. Not able to keep it alongside for the first bit, but is going to be there for the second bit. Bit of contact between them. Nearly getting spun
around the outside.
Broughton is there, getting a much better run off of the corner. And just like that, that is how quickly things can change. It only takes nothing like that. Fishy moving down to 4th place now as Rosenquist has to look to the inside of them. Not able to get the drive off the corner to keep the position, but is still there and is still challenging. They're doing very well for themselves. But now we're going to be 4 train leading up through the hill. All of them keeping it steady. Very well done. A little bit wide there from Broughton. Fishy's got a much better run. Going to be going 2 by 2 down through the Camel. Fishy's ahead, but will she be able to keep it into the corner? Broughton pulls back into the slipstream, brakes just a little bit earlier. Might have got a tap from the back there, looking at how the car got a little unsteady.
Yeah, so this is what Fishy needs to remember now. If they finish in the top 8, they are the champion. So yes, you can worry about sending it for very sketchy
moves. A very ambitious dive against Broughton. They're nearly going 3 wide through the hairpin again. They're still going to be 2 by 2 over the front of the grid.
Fishy through into the lead, but this is what Fishy needs to remember. They just have to finish in the points, and they're the champion. And this is what separates the new champions from the experience, the ones that think logically. You know that you just have to finish in the points, so you know you don't have to fight as hard. If someone wants pass, if they're trying to get all aggressive up your rear end, just let them by. There's no need. But Fishy's not just done that, but used their experience and their racecraft to fight when they need to, let them go when they need to, and, well, now sits in the lead. That's perfect racecraft.
And a big lead that they're pulling out now, over a second almost. It is over a second now, as Broughton having a look to the inside of Snowball. They're going to be going too wide through all these very high-speed left-handers. Might be going for another dive into the chicane. They're a little bit further back than they might want to be. Very cutting over the corner, almost getting tagged. The high-tech into the first bit of the chicane. Nothing comes of it. Oh, 2:12.0, the new fast lap of the race from Fishy, as they continue to extend the lead up the front. Another thing I find very impressive as well is this is Fishy's first season on any of the F1 games in the FV leagues.
Yeah, it is impressive, but we all know how well of a driver Fishy is. We've seen it on Forza. They are unbelievably brilliant. They know exactly where to put the car. They know how to drive the car, and it just seems that whatever machinery you put Fishy in, it doesn't matter. It's just they jump in the car, they perform. It's brilliant to see.
Indeed it is, and it was a wet race as well, where they made their overall debut within the league as well. Watkins Glen with the Vantage Challenge. Almost a year ago now, I'm pretty sure that would have been. If not
Yeah, I
already,
think so. Just while it all calms down a bit, Pixels is on soft.
That's going to be an interesting choice. We'll have a look and see how he does on those. Closest gap up at the front is half a second, so...
I did say to Pixels, before I left to join you, if it gets dry enough, jump on the softs, go for that fastest lap. And
keep an eye and see how it goes, because it does not look dry enough at
oh
all.
my
gosh! There is no grip out there currently. The rain is still coming down. There is a bit of a drier line that does look to have formed, but I don't think it's enough yet.
This is only if this rain stops and dries enough on this outlap for Pixels. But
it's not going to be that. He's missed over the chicane. He's not getting himself stopped, and a 3-second penalty for corner cutting.
Brilliant David Pramer.
It's going to be no points out of this race from the looks of it.
We had a chat today thinking, yeah, let's get 6th in the championship. It's not happening.
Unless a miracle occurs, you're not going to be getting it. Moving back up to the front, though, Snowball is catching Fishy.
This is what we've got to remember now. I don't think it will happen, but if Snowball goes for just a little bit of a late dive on Fishy...
10-9, that fastest lap's come down for a second. It is drying out, but Snowball needs to be careful as well, because Broughton is still there, and he's another very quick driver. He could be he gets a little bit tagged up. The crash structure getting caught on the nose just a little bit. That's going to let Fishy run away just again.
I think this will be it now. This will be Fishy well into the lead of the championship, well winning this championship. There's just too much ground to catch in too little time. 2 sectors to go, and it'll be Fishy taking the championship here in FVC. Not FVC, sorry, FVGP Season 7. Broughton cutting to the inside, gets round the outside of Snowball. That is a brilliant move.
And it looks like the rain has cleared up for the final lap. It isn't coming down anymore from as far as I can see. A little bit too late for anything to happen, though. Jump on board again with the high-tech of Snowball. The rear end of that car just doesn't seem to be wanting to stick at all. Broughton just gets out of the corners seemingly better than he can.
Yeah, I think the majority of the grid are running a low rear downforce setup.
For Broughton, he's way wide onto the very wet tarmac there. That's going to be doing him no favours at all. But anyway, we've got about 1 sector remaining, so I will let you get back to your car and to your drivers now.
Thank you.
Thank you for hopping in. Good luck during the feature race.
Thank you.
Always welcome to hear other familiar voices as well as the voices of the racers. That was Apex crashing out on lap 1, but it does seem to be going the way of Fishy. 1.1, nearly 1.2 seconds is going to be the gap heading into the final chicane. All they needed to score points was to win, or all they needed to win the championship was score points, but they have done it in the best possible fashion. 2:10.5 is a new fastest lap, and a win by 1.3 seconds during the sprint over Broughton, who comes home in second. Snowball will salvage the podium in third place. VNT Rosenquist missing out just in fourth. Fifth goes the way with Alfie, and a very close battle for sixth and seventh. EGW just taking it over Skoda, who is a tenth of a second behind. Two cars still left running, 25 seconds back, is going to be the Trident of Jack East through the final chicane. No worries there, we'll have a solid final points position, weaving as well to celebrate their teammates' win. Pixels still on the soft compound, 40 something seconds behind, and with a 3-second penalty. Still struggling on those soft slicks in the wet. It is definitely not the right conditions. It is drying up, there is no doubt about that, but it is just not a long enough race to be able to go to the slicks at this point. But there is still always the feature, and we'll see how things go for him there. And spin at the final chicane for the Prima of Pixels. The advice from his teammate was if it dries out enough to go onto the softs to get the fastest lap, but that is not going to be the case. It is still ever so slightly raining, and it's going to be a 9th place pointless finish for him. Driver of the day goes to Fishy, and indeed it is going to be their championship win. A very well done, a debut on the F1 season, the F1 game, even if it is going to be the F2 cars this time round. Trident celebrating their new crowned champion. Unfortunately, due to copyright issues, we're not able to have the music being played at this stage, unfortunately, but either way, 11 points win plus the fastest lap will give them the championship up at the top. Broughton still scoring 10 points, nearly the maximum amount that they could during the previous two events, but it's just not going to be enough. Lost a little bit too much over the season. They'll have to settle for second place. Third goes the way of Snowball, fourth for Rosenquist, fifth to Alfie, sixth to EGW, seventh for Skoda, eighth for Jack East, ninth for Pixels, and a DNF for Apex. Prima not having a very good race. As we move into the sprint race, it's going to be a dry and not as eventful sprint, but there is still 10 cars and a longer race where anything could happen. Teams Championship, I believe, is still open. Not 100% certain on that either, like I was before heading into the race, but it seems pretty much locked to Trident. Welcome back to FVGP Season 7. We are here for the final race of the calendar. There's already been a disqualification for Apex. All things seem to be going wrong for the Prema driver this week. A DNF during the sprint race, and now not going to get off of the grid for the feature. As we move into the feature race, though, it is going to be back to qualifying order, meaning Broughton will start in first place ahead of crowned champion Fishing. Third, going the way of Apex Miato, he's going to have a terrible launch due to having 0 tyre temperature, and fourth, going the MP Motorsport of Alfie. Fifth and sixth are going to be to the high-techs, Skoda VRS this time starting ahead of Snowball, as we see Apex very angry in the Twitch chat, saying Alfie hit him and didn't get disqualified, but he goes straight and he does. He wants the game to explain that one, but I don't have an explanation for you up in the commentary booth. It just looked like a bit of weirdness. Further on down the grid, FE Pixels starting in 7th place. It wasn't a good showing during the sprint for him. Down in 9th place, going on to a incorrect strategy during the wet, putting the soft tyres on at that point. It just was not early enough, as there have been more disqualifications, this time between Alfie and VNT Rosenquist. 8th place, going the way of ETW 483. 9th, the aforementioned VNT Rosenquist is where they will start, but they're currently sat over on the grid. And 10th to the Trident of Jack East. The other end of the grid compared to their teammate, but they're still putting in a number of decent performances, even securing the final point during the sprint just past. This track has seen a number of various winners, but over in FVGP Season 1 and Season 2 was taken by D765 and Resimo respectively. Can't wait to see who's going to be at the new win list there. It's definitely going to be somebody new, nobody defending the win at this track for this season. But a number of these drivers have been previously winners during the FEC as well in the F1 cars. A little bit of a spin there for Broughton going around the final corner as the drivers come and get gridded up. The low sun might cause a couple of problems as Snowball gets disqualified for being too far forward, as does Jack East from the looks of it as well. We're going to follow along with our pole sitter this time. The 5 red lights are on, and once again for the final time it is lights out and away we go in Season 7. That's a very questionable start from Apex. To get a very good launch, we had to fire it onto the grass. Into the lead is Fishy. Broughton having a terrible start. Skoda's up into second and Alfie into third. Broughton falling down to 4th place from the front of the grid. Up into 3rd, getting past the high-tech before Euros and Radio. And that's a car going very wide up. Another one as well. There's one of the Premas is ghosted off the start too. Premas once again falling down to 9th and 10th. It is a horrid start for them. Up the front though, here comes Alfie having a look against Fishy into the chicane, has a dive, gets side by side, somehow keeps his stick, yellow flags out and Jackies retires. And that's going to be the safety car deployed as Rosenquist is involved as well. That car stuck in the barriers, and it all kicks off to begin with during the final race. Race gets neutralised. Fishy in the lead over Alfie in second. Broughton having to settle for third, but it isn't the worst that he could be. 4th and 5th making up a position each goes the high-techs. Everyone in here seems to be moving up a couple of positions except for the Premas. They are only seeming to go backwards so far this week. I just realised I forgot to turn on the season logo from the start. Absolute incredible job from me, the broadcaster, this week. While we have the race under a neutralised Do remember we have the Formula Game Companion. No drivers seem to be taking their mandatory stop as of yet. Well, I take that back. There's a couple of cars into the pits. One of them, no, both of them are the Premas. They're double stacking over in the Prema garage. That's going to slow them both down a little bit, especially Pixels. While we wait under safety car to answer the question over in the Twitch chat, the reason why there is a red GR on the side of Broughton's car is that is the livery of Ritomo Miyata in the Real World F2. He was sponsored by Toyota Guzzi Racing for the 2024 season. Toyota themselves might not be in F2, but they do act as the main sponsor for the Japanese driver. We also got a penalty, a 10-second going away of EGW. I did miss what the reason was on screen, but that is going to be quite the detriment to him during this race. Pixels making his way up through Euro Radion and down the Kemmel Straight. Both the Premas able to go at full speeds up until they catch the safety car queue. They are the only two cars that aren't up at the top of the field due to both taking their pit already. It will give them an advantage going forward in the race, but they're going to be suffering with tyre wear during the later stages, especially Pixels, who's went onto the soft compound tyres. First of the two Premas have caught up. It looks like we're going to be spending one more lap at least under safety car, depending on how many others, if any, people go in during this lap. Through the chicane, Broughton goes in, as does EGW, for another two cars taking their stops. With EGW, that 10-second penalty means I think he's going to get held here for a little while, but it does help the Premas a little bit, puts them further up the field. Broughton changing tyres on the right-hand side. We just moved past him, have a look behind. That car pulling out into the fast lane. And indeed, it's going to be a 10-second wait for EGW. That's going to feel like an agony, an absolute age sat there and waiting, but it is definitely better to take it now than it is at the end of the race. Onto the soft compound tyres for him. He will get released penalty free out of the pits this time by. He will, however, have to suffer those tyres for the rest of the race, unless there's another safety car in which he gets the opportunity to head off of them. Softs as well for Broughton. However, depending on how long we spend under the safety car, it could potentially pay off for them. One car remaining to catch up to the safety car. In theory, we should be able to go back to racing this at the end of this lap. we will. Safety car in this lap. The confirmation coming through from race control. Mercedes will start accelerating up to the pit lane, which means it is now going to be Fishy in control. It is their decision where they want to go. Alfie will be in second. Third and fourth for the high takes. They are set for a very good showing as long as they can keep it. Fifth going the way of Rosenquist, but then sixth down. These cars have already completed their stops. Pixels, Broughton, Apex and EGW will all have the advantage going forward in terms of not losing any time for the pits. We'll ride on board, look from the rear wing, and it is going to be not out of the, no, it's going to be out of the chicane for Fishy launch, a little bit catching Alfie off guard, up to 0.7 of a second almost goes the gap before he starts closing in. It is a big gap between fifth down. There's a dive there from Rosen, who's having a look to the inside of a snowball, spooks him to the corner, and snowball spins! Off into the gravel goes the Prema of Pixels. Following goes EGW, so he's not going to lose that much time to the cars in front of him. But that is a big, big pain from where he was just a couple of moments ago. Fishy holding the lead of the race. Alfie, though, in second in the slipstream, pulling alongside. Going to be side by side down the Camel Straight. They're too wide. Going to be too wide at the braking zone. Alfie will get ahead into the timing sheets. Fishy's still going to be there, though. Going round the outside. Gets it done. Fishy's not going to be around the outside. And still there. Too wide all the way through the chains. Heading onto the next corner. Heading towards the long hairpin of turn 7. Long way around the outside for Alfie to go. Once again, the MP Motorsport car, but sticks it there still. Turn 8 through the corner, then moving towards turns 10 and 11. The double left-hander, they've got to be careful of Skoda still there, having a look around the outside. Once again, goes Fishy, a little bit of wheelbang contact, loses out Alfie. Skoda's up to second place. Rosenquist and Broughton have caught up right to the back of this group. Broughton as well, the only one of these drivers in this group. Once Apex catches up, though, it'll be a 6-way fight for the lead. There's 6 right on top of each other, heading through into the final sector of the track. Fishy will lead the way, but they're going to be having the most disadvantage. They are going to be giving a big slipstream to everyone behind. You can see how much the high tick of Skoda is already gaining. Down a gear goes Fishy, up a little bit too high. Here comes Alfie, having a look to the outside of the track, outside of the corner. Skoda's having a look to the inside. Alfie, a very ambitious lunge, gets it past Skoda. Very well done there. Can he get the drive up the corner, though? Looks like the high take gets the better acceleration out of the corner, and it does. 2 minutes 0.52 is the new fast lap of the race, but we are still yet to get a full lap under full speed conditions. Here comes Broughton with a massive dive, making it 3 wide. Wheelbang with Alfie, gets it up to 3rd place. Moving over to second, they're going to be 2 wide, heading up through Euros and Radeon, though. Which one of them's going to back out first? Broughton will get ahead, making it single file. That's the preferred way to get through those corners. But it is very much still alive for any position now in the podium positions. Here comes Alfie, having another look, getting into the slipstream once again. They're going to be 3 long. Rosenquist still trying to make it nearly onto the grass. There goes Alfie, side by side for the lead. Broughton around the outside this time and gets it done. Having to go around the long way again, gets a little bit of contact with Fishy and sends that car a little bit scrabbling for grip. Keeps under control, very well done. Alfie having a look for 3 wide, loses a bit of the front wing. The MP Motorsport car into the hairpin. One of the cars is round as well in the background, into the wall, I think, from the list of things. Can't tell which one of it is. Maybe got away with a bit of a glancing blow. I did see a bit more wing falling around, but Broughton's now a second ahead. Has the lead and the pit stop advantage in hand. It is all set to go Broughton's way. All he needs to do now is just keep it steady, keep it on the road, and not make himself vulnerable to any attacks from behind. That gap seems to only be going up at this current time. Fishy might just get the edges of the slipstream going down the straight, but got to be careful of Skoda and Alfie behind. To take their stop just yet. 1:59.3 is the fastest lap set by Broughton on those softs. And 10-second penalty for Rosenquist speeding in pit lane. Side by side through turn 1 to go Skoda and Fishy. Fishy getting the better run off of the corner. Skoda's going to have the massive slipstream all the way down the straight. It's nearly 2 seconds up at the top. Jumping on board with the high-tech, looks to get a better run through Euros, and Radion going to be right up to the back of the car, has to let off just a little bit. DRS now, wide open for the high-tech. Look at the absolute gains of speed from that. Here comes the MP Motorsport of Alfie, also pulling to the inside of the track, gets ahead and gets it done before the corner. From second down to fourth in the length of a single straight, but Fishy is not done yet. Here they have a look once again to the inside, just for a moment, heading into the hairpin. Doesn't go for it though. 2 cars ahead, still battling, going to be biding their time just a little bit, hoping that Alfie and Skoda come together and they can slip through. Once again, Apex as well, looking in the background. A little bit of a wobble there from, I think, the car of Snowball off of the corner. A little bit wide goes Alfie. Fishy moving up to third place, gets the outside of the track for the next corner. Going to be too wide again. These two drivers have nothing to fear at this point and gets the move done. Very good driving there. Continuing to pull away at the front of the field is Broughton. 3.3 seconds now. Side by side goes Fishy and Skoda. They're nearly 3 wide through the corner. A little bit decent heading into the chicane. One of the cars goes into the pit lane, 2 into the pit lane actually. 1:59.0 from Broughton on those soft compound tyres. Skoda a 10-second for speeding in pit lane. That's going to be very hurtful, but Broughton will still run away. He's already done his stop. He can go to the end of the race. Fishy still yet to do theirs. We'll also move Apex up to third place and Pixels in fourth. Prema have turned this race around. Their woes of the sprint, their woes off the start, they are now moving up the field. They may be looking at double podium potentially. Pixels, though, has to defend from EGW behind. The Dam's got the DRS open, flying past on the straight. Much higher top speed than the Prema there. A little bit unsteady through the corner. Pixels makes up just a little bit more ground compared to the Dams in front of him. Runs out into the grass, through the gravel, just a little bit through the corner, then into the hairpin. So slightly better through the corners, and EGW has a massive advantage in straight line speed. But saying that, the gap is heading in the favour of EGW. Long as Pixels can keep it within a second between now and the next DRS detection zones, he will get a big help during the start, finish, and the Kemmel Straight. He needs to be careful though, he's falling outside 7.5 tenths, and then going to about 8 tenths nearly. He will get DRS down the start, finish straight, that will give him a little bit of a helping hand. Fishy finally taking their stop, moves Apex into second. EGW and Pixels will head to third and fourth. Luck not heading the way of the newly crowned champion for this race. Pixels closing back within to 6 tenths and only half a second behind, getting a much better run out of the first corner. He's going to be within half a second now. All depends how well he can take and keep through yours. Radion doesn't lose any time. He'll have the DRS distance now. We'll jump on board with the Prema. Getting into the slipstream. He's going to be holding there as long as he can. You can just see the speed of that Dam, so not able to get that much of it, but he does close up to within 2 tenths of a second behind that car, and he will have the better cornering, and he's a much better cornering through the first section of the chicane. Pixels don't be doing that too many times. Not only will it lose you times, you will get warnings for exceeding track limits. Too many of that, and you will be getting a penalty. Great line speed of the dams still seem to be an advantage at this track, but Pixels is going to be very close, and in the slipstream we might see a potential couple of dives depending on how brave he's feeling. He'll get the DRS once again into turn 1 and through the Kemmel Straight, braking just a little bit earlier than the dams, hoping that car makes a mistake. A mistake it does make. Apex disqualified, failed to use required tyre compounds, as well as Pixels getting disqualified. It was looking up for Prema, but then they go all the way back down. Not sure what that's about, because I'm pretty sure I've seen them use different tyres from where they started, but that's a new one. I highly doubt both of them intentionally made a mistake on that as well. But that will promote EGW and Alfie up into the podium positions. Be very interested to hear the driver's opinion on that. Does seem like there is some confusion from the driver's channel and from both the stream chat as well. Not certain what's going on now, but either way, we know how broken sometimes the F1 games can be. The only thing I can put it down to, Apex, is Broughton and EGW pit 1 lap later than you two. Maybe that has something to do with it. But I'm not 100% certain, so don't quote me on it. Either way, though, moving up to the front of the grid, a dominating win. 16 seconds is the gap between first and second. Broughton will take the feature race win. EGW will have a comfortable second. Fishy will move ahead of Alfie and take third place. Seems to be a bit of bewilderment for everyone, both in Discord and over the Twitch chat. Fastest lap, a 1:58.008 from Fishy will take the extra point. 10-second penalty for Skoda, an unserved penalty over the line. He'll still take 5th place though. 4th going to Alfie, and the other high-tech of Snowball in 6th. Rosenquist coming home on 7th on the track. Driver of the day given by the game to EGW, but once again we do have the Formula Companion app. The code is on the screen and the app is available on all app stores with your iOS, Android or anything else. A commanding victory for the final race of the season goes the way of Broughton. For Road in 2nd place, to EGW, and 3rd the way of Fishy. Moving on further down the grid, 4th goes the way, this is the total standings, but 4th in that race goes the way of Alfie. 5th and 6th, the high-techs of Snowball and Skoda. Then 7th for VNT Rosenquist. Jack East takes 8th place overall and 0 points at all over the weekend due to that double disqualification to the Premas. A rollercoaster of emotion definitely for the Italian team there, and for both the drivers, something of confusion and 0 warning apparently according to the both of them.